The first one, which is the more famous, or to some extent I can just tell you that's the most well-known one in instrument, is the pneumatic one. And actually the pneumatic one can be divided into two different cases. Whether we can use the diaphragm, or even we can use the piston type for case of pneumatic actuators. I can just tell you that the diaphragms can be single acting, or these items would be called as spring opposed to. But for case of piston, I can just tell you that these items can be categorized into two different ways. The first item would be known as single acting one, and the second one is double acting. I'm totally sure you could remember something about air to open and air to close. It was just something I mentioned that before, the time that I wanted to mention something about the glove valves. I said this thing too. Can you remember fail to open and fail to close valve? I just tell you that when we have fail to close valve, it means that they are air to open. What does it mean? It means that for case of single acting, just imagine we have a spring and then we apply some pressure, air pressure from the top of it, and then with the help of this air pressure, the springs goes down, and consequently it causes the valve is going to be closed. Now just imagine this air pressure, air supply is going to be interrupted, is going to be cut or stopped. What's going on? There's no air here, the spring gets back and the valve is going to be open. It means that this valve is a fail to open valve. That's why it is air to close. Air is going to close the valve. The time that we do not have this air pressure, it doesn't exist. In this case, the valve is fail to open one. Okay, as you can see, for case of single acting, we have a spring to do this one. The time that we do not have any air, it just, make the valve gets back to the first position, whether it can be open or even close one. But the time that we have double acting items, it means that open up the valve or even the closing, both of them can be done or fulfilled with the help of pneumatic line. It means that there is no spring here, just the air pressure can open the valve or even close it. But how? Don't worry, because later I will just show you all the photos, and actually here I try to draw all these actuators for you to just understand it better. Next one, it's related to hydraulic one. Hydraulic actuators. Sometimes we cannot actually prepare or produce the enough pressure for open up or close up the valve. So in this case, using the hydraulics one are more practical or more beneficial. Or to some extent, the time that we do not have any access to air compressors, just imagine you have dozens of the valves on the desert, and there you cannot actually find any air compressors over there. In this case, you need to have some hydraulic types of actuator to open up or even close up the valve. Such as, for example, the valves like GOV, gas operated valves, or GOOV, gas over oil valves, are just working with the help of hydraulic actuators. The time that you have even larger size of the valves, you must use the hydraulic ones with the help of some piston jacks. You can just open or even close the valve. Number 3 is related to motorized actuators. These types of actuators are known as MOV, motorized operated valve. It means that the valves which are working with case of motor, it can have an AC motor or even DC motor, And these valves can be even working with the function of control or even on-off. What does it mean exactly? Just imagine we have an AC motor and then you prepare 220 volt AC for it, or sometimes you need to prepare 380 volt DC for that. AC for that, and then you connect it to the motor, and these motors can be even single phase or even three phase too. After that, the motor starts to work, and as you know that the shaft of the motor is going to be rotated. Just imagine this shaft is coupled to the stem of the valve. The time that the motor starts, this shaft is rotating, and then the stem is rotating too, and finally the valve is going to be closed, for example.